It should be pretty smooth, so everything's going to get there. Probably beat it for us.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to first start by thanking everybody for being here. I hate to say it, I'm pleasantly surprised that we've got some bodies in here because I didn't know how this was going to turn out and how many people would be interested in being here. So anybody that showed interest, it's because you do have a passion for keeping our beaches clean. So I want to thank you first for being here. It's very important. So thanks again. We're going to go ahead and get started off. If we get everybody rise and do a prayer. Dear Lord, first we want to thank you for this beautiful, beautiful day you've blessed us with, and with this beautiful area that you've blessed us to live in. We thank you for bringing all these people together that are interested in keeping this area that you've blessed our world with in a nice fashion so that we can all be proud of it. We ask, oh Lord, that you keep a watchful eye over our first responders that are day-to-day having to deal with situations that put their lives in danger. We want to go ahead and ask that you look out for all our military service personnel that are in constant conflict and keeping us safe while we're here. So we thank you for all these things, oh Lord. We ask that you look over us and that you bring good discussion today, that we might be able to come up with some nice ideas and solutions to some of the problems that we see on our beach. And we thank you for the blessings that you give us day by day. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, if I could bring up Mayor Mike Thomas, just to kind of give you guys a welcome also, and he's our mayor, and I'd like him to go ahead and say a few words to everybody, and maybe some of his thoughts or ideas at the beginning.
Hello, how y'all doing? Appreciate y'all coming out to voice your opinion, and that's all we can do today, is voice our opinion. This is not a regular meeting, so we won't be doing any voting, but we would love input on things that you think that we can do to make the city a better city. I think the election and the events of the last couple of years showed that the general population of this community wanted it to change. And I think it has changed significantly, and I think it will continue to change. I have had several people call me about this meeting when they saw it this morning and what was going on. And first, let me explain that the TDC, that I've had 3 phone calls today about TDC. A couple more about other little things, but about the TDC not advertising the way they think they ought to, and about the TDC not doing a good job cleaning up the beach, and about the TDC not doing this. We stopped spring break this year, and the TDC's collections were down less than 1% for the year. We stopped it this year, and Panama City Beach collections were up about 5%. There's nothing wrong with that. And part of the reason those numbers are so small, I believe, and I serve on the TDC, so I've watched them for years. They have advertised and brought good people down here. They have done what they were asked to do, and they've done it pretty well, I think. But remember, the city doesn't tell the TDC what to do. The TDC works for the county. It is an organization that taxes are collected for short-term stays, and they advertise to bring more people out here. And I think they're doing a good job with these events to bring the type people. But they are not somebody that the city tells what to do. We have 2 representatives on the TDC, the city does. The rest of those are county appointees, and 1 appointee by the 8 members. So remember, some of the things you may want the city to carry forward from here, we may just disagree, or it may not be something that we have any control of. But I promise all of us, I think, have shown that we want to do a better job out here. We're dedicated to do a better job, and I'm proud of what's changing. And the rules and things that Edgar and them were talking about changing and doing, if we clean ourselves up, then I think we can expect other people to clean up around. I think the city and the county has done a horrible job the last few years doing that. And I'm committed, and I know these people are going to do better, but it's going to cost money. There's other things coming up with the CRA and the things, we have to maintain all that. And there's going to be things that we have to do that you're just not going to like. But we are a better community, I think, than we have been in a few years, not because of the board before, but just because of the way people act. And we're trying to get things turned around and done better, and we appreciate your help. And we'll carry on from here.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to start off with an overview, if you saw the agenda, just wanted to cover that we do have good representation in here. We have representation from the county, just so you know. We have representation from the city council. So I believe all our city council members here. Mr. Reeker's back there. I saw Mr. Chester, Josie's here, the mayor's here. So we do have that. Then we have Dan Rowe from the TDC. We have a couple of people here from the TDC. So they're here to hear that. We've got some of our department heads, the chief of police, to be able to go ahead and hear any issues that might come up. Once again, it is a town hall. So this basically just came from me reading blogs and things, and my personal pet peeves on the beach of the litter, the cigarette butts, glass bottles, saying when the dogs are on the beach, the holes on the beach, and then as I saw more and more with some of the good social media that's out there, people talking about some of the issues that they're encountering, and just the overall disgust from some of the citizens here saying, wow, I can't believe this, but not only the citizens, a lot of our visitors on a lot of these blogs. And the one that stood out the most to me was, and that's what kind of prompted this, was there were 2 ladies that were on, I think it was PCB Reynolds or the other ones, I forget the other page that they have. But they're talking about how she's been sitting in her chair and saw the same guy at least 3 times drink his beer out in the water, and as soon as he got done with the beer, he chunked the can in the water. And then he'd walk back in, get another beer, go back out, and and after the 3rd one, when he came in for the 3rd beer, she said, are you kidding me? You're walking back in here to get a beer, and you can't bring, well, the tide's going to just wash it in. And 2 ladies were talking about the same incident. They were a mile apart, and she was watching the same thing a mile down the beach with somebody else in that same period of a week or so, somebody else doing the same thing. And I just said, I couldn't believe that. The other thing was I love to paddleboard, and I'm blessed to be able to live on the beach. And so didn't get to paddleboard as much this year, but for the first time, I found myself having to stop on that paddleboard and pick up trash in the water while I'm on the water and put them in my pocket. And I guarantee you, most of you that are here right here that cared enough to be here, it's probably because you're one of those, like me and my wife, and when we go down, we probably take an extra bag, we walk the beach, we police around our chairs, and we pick up all the time, and that's probably why you're here. I know we have Vivi here, and we're going to see what she just had picked up this morning, just from a little bit. So I thought it was important, and I thought I was hearing enough from people and feedback saying, you know, how can we do a better job? My wife and I were blessed enough to go to about 6 different beach locations in the last 6 months in Florida, from Lido Key, Siesta Key, one of the other keys down there, Longboat Key, down at South Beach, Hollywood Beach, and then I think it was Deer Creek Beach or something like that. And we looked around. We spent our time really looking at those beaches, and we stayed for several days at some of those beaches over there. And one thing that stood out was they didn't have a trash problem. They just didn't have a trash problem. And they didn't even have trash cans down on the beach. They had trash cans. Some of those beaches are so deep, they're 100 yards of beach or 150 yards. No trash cans, just when you come onto the entrance. But what I did notice was just about all the visitors to the beach, they'd come out and you saw a little trash bag tied on their umbrellas, tied on their canopies. They've been ingrained to just take care of their beaches. And so if they can do it in other places, the other thing that stood out was signage. Creative signage on wraps on the trash cans, signs on posts, different things that are creative in a nice way and not so nice way, kind of a carrot and stick approach to let people know, hey, if you litter here, it's going to cost you some money. So those were the kind of things that kind of to push this to hope we could have this meeting. Since it's kind of an informal town hall, once again, we can't vote on anything. This isn't a formal meeting where there'll be discussion and voting on anything, but it's good feedback for the council when we do have our city council meetings. What I've done is we put a few agenda items down, and after each agenda item, we'll open it up for public comment and discussion for people to come up and give ideas or concerns, so we kind of hear what the problems are, and or if you think you've got some solutions, to be able to go ahead and discuss these things. We won't put a time limit on it. We're hoping not to make this a 3-hour meeting. We're hoping this could be done in an hour to 2 hours. It was put in a long time frame there, but we're hoping we can get it done a lot quicker than 3 hours. So if you just be cognizant of that fact when you do come up to talk. But there's a lot of things that we can do, and as a city council member, I was going into Mario's office, just once a week and saying, why can't we do this and why can't we do that? And I found out there's a lot of things that we have in place, like Chapter 7 that deals with the beach and responsibilities. And what I found out was this is everybody's kind of responsibility. It's not just the city, it's not just the TDC, but if you live here, you're a resident and a citizen, all of us probably have some kind of way of helping with the things that we're seeing. Just from the get-go with the condos and things, and that's why I was hoping we have, do we have any board of directors from condos here? 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got, a half a dozen board of directors, people here from condo associations, condo owners, got condo general citizens from the neighborhoods. So everybody, it looks like we've got just about everybody represented here that lives on the beach. I think there's a way we can all play a role in doing a better job, whether it's because we just pick up trash, or whether it's we can do things to change things a little bit. Like if we have a small rental company like we do, I'm already talking, we're going to develop a one-sheet page in the welcome letter to go out that's going to talk about nothing about everything except how we want to keep our beaches clean, let them know what some of the general rules are. And if we all start letting our guests know what the expectation is, maybe little by little we can all make a difference by just sharing that information to our clients that are out there. So if everybody kind of gets involved, we can do a better job. So the first one is discussion of strategies to keep our beaches clean. And I'm going to open it up just with a couple of things that, once again, as we talked about, if you are a condo owner, if you're on a board of directors, or if you're in an area that has an HOA that has beach, many times some of the vendors have beach share services. Well, what I found out in looking through contracts with beach share services, just about every one of them actually has a clause that says that the beach share service vendor is responsible for policing the beach. And yet I found out that in the 2 condo associates I belong to, that really wasn't taking place. So it's up to us as board of directors and as owners to say, why aren't they complying with that part of the contract to help keep the beach clean? Matter of fact, I found myself constantly picking up the rubber bands that would break that they put around the umbrellas. I'm constantly picking up 2 dozen broken umbrella bands that's actually made by the beach share service. So we can do a better job by doing that. So that's one quick thing that people can look at, is look at, if you are in a condo, how we can go ahead and make sure we're enforcing what we have and that we hold those people accountable. So that's one simple fix that's out there. At this time, I'm going to open it up just for public comment or anybody else that would like to talk about if you have any strategies, ideas on what we can do to go ahead and do some things. Yes. Would you like to come up here and state your name?
I
or-
would,
Okay.
I'll forget what I was about to say. I'm Jim Rogers. I'm a condo owner, and I've been in Panama City Beach, coming here for over 30-something years, but permanent for the last 7 years. One of the biggest things that I see is we have local residents and condo owners. Then we have this mass of visitors to come to our city, which is very nice because they do drive a lot of revenue and keep us busy. One of the things we do is we pass a lot of laws, but we never pass it to them. They have no clue when they come here what they can do, what they cannot do. Bottles on the beach, I didn't know that. That's the number one comment I'll get from anybody that we talk to at our place that I didn't know that. I know the city police department, I think, had a little strip, and it was a little informative, and what it says is, hey, city ordinance number 1, no digging on the beach. City ordinance number 2, this. And it talks about everything. But I have never seen them anywhere other than one little meeting, and we could get our hands on those, so we could put them on our desk, we could get them to the beach, chair people. When somebody comes in the room, hey, here, this is for you. You have to follow these rules. They're not mine. It's set by the city. Because nobody knows very much how that beach works. They don't understand where the Corps engineer starts, and the city stops, the county starts. Anybody here know the 30 feet rule? Well, condos are having an area from 30 feet from high water means inwards. It is on the beach. Am I correct? And that's where the chairs, usually start. They can't go forward, but they can at least be 30 feet free from the water. The biggest things I see that happen, holes on the beach. When I'm talking about holes on the beach, I'm talking something you put a Volkswagen in. That's usually within the 30 feet of the city's right of way, not the condos. There. And we go out and try to tell them, well, we're lucky we don't get beat to death for coming getting back in. But that's some of the things that I think, we got more signs in this city than Carter has liver pills, but for some reason it doesn't reach the people that we need to reach it. And I was hoping if we could figure out how to get those signs or create our own. We've talked about putting a nice sign up. Here's what you do: cigarette butts, bottles. And it also goes past bottles on the beach and trash. We've been having a lot of lewd behavior. Last night, I'll give you a great example. There was probably 25 people behind the Palmetto. Out of that 25 people, I think 15 of them were nude in the water. And I think it was a wedding party or something. They were all nude. But, that gets scary to me.
What time of day was that?
Pardon?
What time of day was that?
This was at night. It was late at night. Yeah, it was late at night, and they were at water's edge, and there was about 30 of them. And so I took them as you could hear them yell and scream and shoot in the water and come out, but naked as a jaybird. I just think that, sometimes out of sight, out of mind of the police creates a lot of havoc. We had a big deal where we had a party of 50, and they were actually in broad daylight on our beach chairs that nobody could rent because the fact of it is they had people hunching on them, and that was in front of kids. My wife said, but I will get back. I think the education factor in this, and hopefully a little more patrol, we can beat some of this. But it is, if you live and watch in front of your beach, in front of your balconies and so forth, it's out of control.
Did you have your binoculars last night?
I did.
I appreciate that comment. I think there's some good stuff there as far as like informational cards or something. That's definitely something we can look at as far as the informational cards and finding out whether the TDC might be able to help with that.
Well,
it's not just tourists. I was on the beach at Beach Access 12 one day picking up trash, and a man comes with 2 dogs, not on a leash. One of the dogs comes up and starts yapping at me and biting at my feet. And I told him, you're not allowed to have dogs on the beach. And he goes, oh, well, I'm a local, and I know Beach Patrol, and they let me do it. And then another lady who said, oh, I'm local, and the laws don't apply to me.
But let me, and on that case, and I think Jim was stating that also, was sometimes we assume because maybe we don't think we've gotten a response or don't see the presence that nobody is going to respond. So the first thing I'm going to encourage people to do is when you have those issues, and I'm pretty sure you're going to do the same thing from the chief, call. Definitely call in. When you're seeing those issues, instead of just making the assumption that nobody cares or nobody's going to do anything, the first point is to call in. The second thing is, if you don't get a response within the appropriate time, whether it's if it's a non-emergency and after 30 minutes nobody's coming still and an hour's gone, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm an elected official here to do a job. My number's out there. You can call me and say, I've complained about this issue, and I can, I field calls all times of the day. I would hope they're not after 1 in the morning, but if there's an emergency going on, I want to know about it. And I don't have a problem relaying a call if something is not getting taken care of, but that's the first thing we need to do. And I know we've got incorporated and unincorporated areas here, and that's why we've got county and everybody here, because we want to get on the same page. But I think the truth holds the same for calling the county. If it's in the county, to let them know, hey, we're seeing this behavior, and if you're not getting a response, I think we also have a very good relationship with the county sheriff's office. I don't have a problem calling Tommy up over there and saying, hey, we've got these reports that this happened, no responses to it, and find out what's going on and why the responses aren't there. But it starts with number 1, the call. Making sure we do call in, and then if the enforcement isn't happening on valid issues, then that's where we need to know about it. But remember, you've got local officials that you've elected, and you need to hold us just as accountable to make sure we're helping with problems if there's problems out there that we're not responding to. So I know I've never turned a call down from somebody that's called me, and I get plenty of emails. I just view it as part of our job, and I know Josie and Phil and John and the mayor, they all respond to people. So please let us know if you're making those calls and somebody is not responding to something that's an actual issue. So any other comments on additional strategies that we can use?
Hector, going back to keeping the beaches clean, you would know it by looking at me, but my wife and I try and walk every day for about half an hour to an hour, and what we do, if we see trash, we'll pick it up, but the distance from the water to the trash cans, depending on the depth of the beach, can be pretty far sometimes. And I know if you move those cans closer to the beach and you get an unexpected high tide, you tip them over, and then you got a big mess. But is it possible to have the trash cans in a holder that's secured down to the ground so we could move them closer? My impression is, watching from our balcony, a lot of people, the trash cans are so far away, they're leaving their cans. And maybe I'm just overly optimistic that the trash cans are a little closer to the water, to the beach chairs. People might make a little bit more of an effort to the trash cans.
I think there's probably some validity in both, that it's, but I've seen people that are 15 feet away from a trash can and still just leave it all piled up. But I think both of them are valid points. And if I understand correctly, and the mayor might be able to, he's on the TDC, I believe that they're trying to get more of the enclosures. Every year, they're buying more of the enclosures to make sure that the cans are staying in a more structured place, instead of when you see them spread out and all of a sudden for a block, there's no trash can. So I know they're on a process of buying enough to where all of those are going to be put in some place. Problem with where the trash cans are at, a lot has to do with when the service does come through and the way they have to pull the trash cans, they've got to line them up to a certain extent to where they're going to be able to do it feasibility as far as picking up the trash cans and stay on the path without having to, because of the tractor and zigzag. So some of it's logistics with that, but I think as they get more of those, I think there's even talk about increasing the amount of trash cans also. But once again, I'm going to throw it out to some associations and stuff. There's nothing that says that you can't maybe have an additional can also, or if you're having problems with the cigarette butts, is an answer to maybe have every few seats putting one of those cigarette deal controls out there. Maybe people use them, maybe they won't. So I think the more we can have in the ways of that, and we can all come together on that, I think it will be a good idea. But maybe Dan will be able to address as far as the trash cans, whether they're gonna have more or not, when we bring Dan up to talk about a few issues. Yes?
Show and tell. This is about 100 yards of pickup this morning at Bitterweed Beach. My husband, my 80-year-old husband, picks up every day. He's active 80 years old, but he goes out, and this was probably from high tide, but we got plastic caps, we got cigarette butts, we've got, as I told Mel, Sissy's cigar holders, you know, those little plastic things. We need to stop this, we really do. I don't know how we do it. I'd like to tell you, I don't know if we made them in Bitterweed or if they came from the city, but my husband and I have rebuilt some of the holders for the trash cans. They're very easy. I'd be happy to show you a pattern for them. And they do hold the cans. The men are really helpful about putting them, that they will grab our can out and put another can inside. That's very good. When we were driving through Texas this summer, we saw a sign, and I think it was said, "Our highway is not your trash can." And I'm going to propose to the Bitterweed board next meeting that we say, "Our beach is not your ashtray," and put signs up along that way. We don't have as big a problem as a place that, you know, the condos perhaps who have a lot of renters who come in, but we have a problem just as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And, yes, sir.
Dan Weaver from Washington, and we go to Access 51, and cigarette butts, like she said, is terrible. What's wrong with, I hate to make new laws, but how about a no smoking beach? I know out in California they have, other places they have.
You remember what happened when we tried to ban those cigarettes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
No, and I understand. It's definitely something that, like I said, everybody has an opinion on whether that's going to happen or not. And there are actual properties that have private property. There are some private property owners that have gone to no smoking policies on their entire property. And that's up to those properties to decide whether they want to try and do that. You know, it's something that you could come to a city council meeting and voice your opinion on. I don't know where it would go. You know, we have, with spring break issues and things that happen, a lot of times the biggest complaint is that we don't enforce what we already have. And so at some point, you know, we just need to start enforcing a little bit more too. We really do. We've got no litter laws. And if we can start getting some of the resources where we need them, and people realize that we're going to hold them accountable, I think it's a way we can clean some of that up without having to go to new. Oh, any trash that's on the beach. Oh, they don't. Well, yeah. And that's where, and we'll talk about it. Is there any more comments on the discussion on strategies? And because we'll talk about that some more. Yes.
Next quick comment. We're talking about the beach side. The beach side is whether people have issues or not. We also have a street side issue. And the cigarette butts are the same. My guys fill up every morning at least half a 5-gallon bucket full of canned cigarette butts and soda water on two sides of the street. One of the latest posts on social media, unrelated to me, one of the rental sites was the corner of Walmart, the storm drain, where it probably looked like at least 4 or 5 times the amount of cigarettes she had there. It's just all getting washed at that point. So I don't know what we can do on that side. I know the condos, most condos actually have guys out picking up, but beyond that, stuff gets washed around.
No, you're absolutely right on that. It's not just the one side or the other issue. And I'll take it back again to where I think we need to start looking at all of our, if you're in a condo and you're on the beach, which most of the properties are usually condos or have an HOA, there's rules and regulations of your property that you deal with. If you have excessive noise, if you have disruptions, then what would lead to an eviction? I think what more condo associations need to start doing is start dealing with the fact that they should put that in their rules and regulations. It should be part of the rules committee to say, if you are doing this, trashing our beach, it's another rule that you're breaking that can lead to your eviction from the property if you're not going to respect the property. So we need to enforce what we've got on those, and like I said, it works on both sides of the beach. Yes?
I'd like to see, or what my thought would be, you know, someone spoke earlier about informing people what the rules are, okay? My thought would be maybe TDC or someone, you know, to have a uniform message about what the rules are, city, county, the whole beach, printed, so that the homeowners or condo owners, the rental people, can place in every condo something that when you can stay in the condo and they'll see it. Here's the rules, you know, and this is the city, the county, here it is. And, you know, I think the first thing you've got to communicate it.
Now let me ask you, does anybody here know what our slogan for the beach is when it comes to respect to keep the beach clean? Does anybody know? No, not just leave no trace, it's leave only footprints. Leave only, that's one of our slogans, is it not, right, Dan? Leave only footprints? So it'd be great, like you're talking about, if we can get our signage incorporated, because it's a great slogan, leave only footprints. Think about it. It's a great slogan, and if people, when they come to the beach, and they're coming into the beach and they're seeing this big beautiful sign that says leave only footprints, the more we have it out there to where they see what we're trying to accomplish, I think that's how we're going to get it in the people's minds. It's going to be something that we have to continually work with, that we let people know what our rules and regulations are, getting the appropriate signage, and that's why we've got Dan here, and because a lot of times the TDC does have more funds than what the city has to be able to help with some things that deal with advertisement, rules and regulations, and that's why the next subject we have is public signage and an advertising campaign discussion. Because like you said, you led right into that segue, unless we really get the word out the right way and people know what we're trying to do, and the more of us get on that. The first time my grandkids came to the beach at 4 years old, my first talk with them was that it was their responsibility, that I want them to come to the beach as much as they can, but every time they come, they've got a job, and that's to leave the beach cleaner than when they first got there. So they know when they go down to the beach, they've got to pick up a little bit of trash, you know, put it in the trash can, and it's something from the child that's going to be ingrained in their mind as they grow up, that our job is to keep the beach clean. And the more we do little campaigns with, like I said, leave only footprints, and that starts to, it becomes a slogan that everybody hears, it starts to sink. I think sometimes it's unconscious what some people do. They've been used to just putting the cigarette butts in, they've never been held accountable, they've never been told, and so the more we get that advertisement out there, I think what happens though is a lot of times we end up with 2 or 3 signs, we end up with a flag warning sign, we end up with the leave no trace sign, they're all just black and white, nothing that stands out, and people don't pay attention. At these locations I was talking about, they all have creative signage. So I'm hoping that the TDC is going to be able to put together with a new advertising company a creative sign that would encompass the flag warning, the leave no trace, and then what if, you know, if cigarette butts are a problem, you have a picture that shows 2 little cute kids with their butts in the sand that says, these butts in the sand, making memories. Cigarette butt with the no on it, these butts on the sand, $75 fine. The carrot, you know, the sticking carrot approach where they see, this is nice, this isn't. The same thing with the turtles. A big hole on the beach with the turtle turned upside down in it, letting them know this is what's going to happen when you do that for somebody getting hurt, versus, you know, making a sandcastle, which is great on the beach. Make a sandcastle, it's beautiful, but when you dig these big holes, you can actually be endangering a turtle or somebody could get hurt. Like I said, I've seen people twist their ankles. I'm surprised more people haven't broken their legs with some of these holes that are left on the beach. You know, beer bottles. You know, you show that you can have a beer bottle and you're at one of our local restaurants having a drink, having a good time, making memories at those locations, but broken glass on the beach over here leads to a cut foot. You know, so people realize the consequences of what they're doing. And so if we can get some creative signage with some actual visuals that show that, I think will go a long way to be able to, and that national campaign that people realize, that's what we're trying to accomplish. We've got the most beautiful beaches here stateside, and yet we're not taking care of them. And I just wondered how it was that all these other beaches, they've ingrained it, and maybe it's just because they haven't tolerated it. And so it's going to be a combination of new good ideas, campaigns, and making sure that they realize, hey, we're kind of changing our way of doing things. Yes?
Hector, one of the things too is that we have all these really nice entrance points for the public to come, whether from across the street or from neighborhoods out. And these are great places to have signage also. And another big thing when you talk about signage, you'll be surprised at the number of people that do not know the flag color. And we just went through people saying, what's the purple? What's the purple? Of course, we had the jellyfish. And I see the signs up around because I know to look for them. But just the flag, they don't know what they are. And if we could incorporate that into the signage also, it would be important.
And that's why we have Dan here, because like I said, one of my hopes is that they will get on a new type of advertising campaign with rules and regulations, as well as our, at the beginning of that sign, welcome to our beautiful beaches, leave only footprints, and then with the rules and regulations and things on that sign. I'm in great hopes that maybe the TDC might want to go ahead and fund signs for not only public accesses, but also if we've got thousands of people coming across the boardwalk on the condos, we should have a sign there also. And so if that's something the TDC might be able to help with, to where every access point where somebody's coming onto that beach, they're seeing the same sign, I think that's going to help a lot. Thanks, Jim.
The same thing about the public access points, we've been cleaning up around these points. And wherever there's a public access point and there's parking, there seems to be this huge amount of trash all around the access. And we've gotten I think a trash can at 12 and now 11. But I think there's some other areas that need trash cans.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And they still throw it on the ground. Okay, but now we're only picking up half as much.
Yeah.
Half of it gets in there, half of it doesn't.
I would encourage you, if you're by one of those hot spots that's a parking area, and I'm going to try and make the call. And I know some of them are in the county, but I think we have some in the city also over by the Rock and stuff. It's not a bad idea sometimes that law enforcement or code, whoever's going to be responsible for, should maybe take a half a day at some of those spots and just stake it out a little bit to see what's going on, and then let people know. And I'm not about trying to, let's hit somebody with heavy fines and all this, but if it starts out with a warning ticket first and an educational thing, just to let people know, hey, we're watching this. And that's why I think it takes all of you to send that information in and say, look, this is a constant here. They're dumping trash at some points it was by the truckload. When they were dumping some of that trash over there by 11 and 12, it was literally, some people were bringing bags from trucks and overflowing areas and stuff. So it's going to take all of us to make those calls.
We tried trash cans at each of our walkways one year. And it worked okay. We were, as volunteers, having to empty that trash until people started cleaning their fish and putting it in there. And I took every one of those trash cans off, because you just, if you're a volunteer, you don't want to clean up. Are there house trash? Are there children's dirty diapers? Or
people that don't have a trash service that are bringing their trash bag over and dumping.
We need mandatory, well, that's a different.
It's a different topic, but it does tie into the litter, and I can tell you it's something that discussions have come up. I mean, we're a growing city. At some point, I don't care whether we have 6 contractors that deal with trash or not, but at some point we hopefully are going to be discussing everybody having to have trash pickup. If you live somewhere, you're going to have trash. And it's not right for somebody to take their trash and go dump it on somebody else.
People take it to the beach as well, and put their household trash on the beach.
Yeah.
Isn't Bitterly a controlled beach access? Isn't it private?
The beach is not private. The access
The gates
is
are all
private. The access is.
Well, then how is the public making the mess?
Well, there have been residents taking, not necessarily residents, but renters in Dewey taking their trash down to the beach because their owner of their property doesn't have trash service. That's a pet peeve.
That's a Bitterly resident. Like I'm a landlord.
Yeah, I understand that, but.
Leave my property.
Yeah, no, it's going to be one of those things where, and that's where can we all do, I think where the discussion was coming from was somebody's trying to do a good thing and it gets abused.
Yes.
It gets abused when you try and do something good through an association and stuff. But it's still a problem. And like I said, the problem with the fact that there are people that don't have trash service can become an issue, because I've heard of enough reports where people take their trash to the beach because they don't have trash service. So it's still an issue. It's one of those that the city probably has to deal with at some point. But it's a valid issue. Once again, I think a lot of it still comes from mindset. At some point, our beach became kind of an anything goes beach. From get as wild as you can to just throw your trash wherever you can. And I think little by little, if we start cleaning that image up, it's not a 1 year thing or 2 year thing. This is going to be a 10, 20 year thing where hopefully in 20 years people are saying, wow, they've got some of the most beautiful beaches as far as being kept clean. We already have the most beautiful beaches, but they're going to be the cleanest beaches. And I think we can get there. I think we can get there if everybody works together. When you're seeing the stuff, like I said, a lot of you are people that are very concerned because you pick up trash every day. You've made it your job to clean up public access points. We just need the communication coming out a little bit better now, I think, to those in code enforcement, those in law enforcement, to say, we've got a problem here. To call us to say, there's a problem, how can we get to a solution on this? Because it's a reoccurring problem. That and things that the city are trying to do, like I said, I think we're making a concerted effort to clean up the beach with ordinances and things that are already in place and do a better job. Yes?
Yeah, there is an excellent organization, and it's on the east coast of Florida. It's called Mission Clean Beaches. They're on Facebook. They have their own website. They actually have an educational outreach program where you can contact them, and they will help you with materials and stuff to educate the citizens on keeping your beaches clean.
What's it called? Mission Clean?
Mission Clean Beach.
Oh, good. Okay. That's a
But
good
they're excellent. I mean, they have ad campaigns and everything about cigarette butts and everything.
And that's what I'm saying. Some of the signage I've seen is just from looking at other places and what they have, and some of the cute advertisements about how it's going to cost you in the pocketbook if you don't do this or that. It's already out there. We don't even have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of it's there. But I think what you're going to find out as you look at a lot of places that really have the clean beaches is the fact that most of the time, I hate to say it, but it's usually community driven. It's a community saying, hey, we're ready to move to the next level and have our beaches look a certain way, and then your city officials get involved to some degree and everything. And that's why I say it takes everybody, and that's why I was happy to see how many people showed up here today, because it's something that we're all going to have to deal with it. But if you're on a board of directors, if you're at a condo and you're an owner or you're a property owner with an HOA, you have a voice. You have a voice to be able to go ahead and talk to your HOA and say, we need to do a better job with this. If you're seeing things, you have a voice to be able to call in and say, hey, we need some help with this because we're getting a lot of trash dumped in this area. And like I said, if it doesn't work at the first level, then you go to the next level. Yes, sir.
Another thought, I had was the parking deals for your car, if you're going to the rearview mirror, parking spaces on the backside, facing the driver.
Leave only footprints,
or
rules, or...
Well, one of my pet peeves is the crosswalks. Yield to pedestrians in the crosswalks.
That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. Every association that hangs those little placards, you could do something very creative with those little placards. I think that's a great idea. That you are looking at, instead of looking at that CC's Pizza ad, you're looking at, hey, leave only footprints, watch for pedestrians on crosswalks, no bottles on the beach, use an ashtray, not the sand,
Hector, we tried that, to do the hangers, the thing that can come down to cost. Most of those hangers come from somebody who's advertising something in Panama City, which makes it free to associations and so forth. And it's kind of hard to break them away from that, so
that's a good point.
We get paid, but there's $20 for parking that.
Right, but I understand, but like ours are free, but the thing about it is on the back of them, there's advertisement.
Right.
That's a good point. So once again, maybe that's something, once again, we can reach out to TDC and say, are you interested in helping with this if it's got a... Well, like I said, you're going to get a lot of these questions, Dan, I'm sorry, but they're good ideas, and once again, is it more important to get that free, your parking things probably come out to $100 in advertising a year. I mean, $100 in free parking passes. Is it more important to pay that $100 and get what you want on it? That might send a positive message.
I think so.
So it's an important thing as a condo owner or association to talk about and say, I know we get these things for free, but is it going to hurt us to spend $100 to have a positive message on the back of our parking? I'll vote all day yes to spend $100 on our own parking passes if it means, or if that advertiser still wants an advertisement at the top, say yes, you can have your advertisement, but this is what we want in the message below it. You know, but I think that's an outstanding idea. Yes.
In a perfect world, we don't need fines, but we don't have a perfect world. I'm wondering how the fine system works. You know, it's always like a lot of verbiage, or, you know, you're gonna be fined this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like enforcing the law. How does the policy work if I were to see someone either beachside or on the roadside? How does that all?
I'm going to have the chief address that here towards the end under enforcement to tell you what the structure is for, say, bottles, for littering and that, so he can inform everybody what it is and then what he'd like to see happen as far as notifications on these kind of things. That's probably the hardest part, and even for being on the board of directors from a couple of days, we've talked about over and over about violations of rules and how in our own buildings we don't do a good enough job of policing our own buildings, enforcing the rules that we have, and that's a constant. So it's something we all have to work on when it comes to that, but if we do have it, it boils down to at some point we have to start enforcing more at the building levels. And remember, once again, if you've got beach chair service on your beach, typically wherever those beach chairs are at up to that point, that's all the property, private property. And so if there's a violation of rules going on, the front of your building, the back of your building, the litter, that's something that you can enforce on your property. Remember that. That's something that you can enforce on your property and say, we don't want, just like Mr. Bishop was saying, he, as a landlord, he has to enforce things on his property or take care of it. You can do some of that yourself also. So it comes back sometimes to where it's that shared responsibility. We all have a part to play in it. Any other discussion or public comments about the public signage, advertising, anything that you think might help? Like I said, I think the little parking thing was excellent. Yes?
I think when we go to hand out whatever information that we decided is appropriate, that we remember the realty companies, both the full-service realty companies as well as the rental companies, because I've repeatedly tried to educate people on our beach, and they go, I'm renting such and such. No, they never told me I couldn't bring my dog.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of that now. Some of it I know gets told perhaps, and they just say they have it. But I do think that that's an important aspect of this, is make sure that the realtors who are selling our properties or renting the properties are aware of the rules.
And I think maybe that's where, as a city, we can do a better job of possibly getting to a point where we draft a letter, once again, with maybe a concise set of rules and regulations that we're talking about, to send out as a reminder to all properties, to the CAMs, to the rental companies, to be able to say, look, we're asking that you make sure that you please duplicate and pass this out. Maybe we can do a better job as a reminder to let people know, hey, these are some of the things that we have seen problems with, that we can do a better job, and we're asking people to go ahead and get involved, and that you somehow incorporate this into your process when people check in. So I think that's something that we can probably do on the city side to get that reminder out and to make sure they realize that, hey, you need to be passing this on to your clients. So, yes?
One of my units had an old sign that, of like to leave no trace, and then there's also another one that's the flag system, and then there's probably one with all the rules. I send my money every month, my bed taxes and stuff. So the county knows who all the owners are. Are those things still available or do we have to request them from the TDC? Those little stickers or placards or whatever. I have no problem mounting all that on the door, and every time they walk out of that unit to the beach, they'll see that.
Do you know, did we have stories?
I know when we first started the Leave No Trace that we had them available. I don't know if there's still more available.
Yes.
I know that I can read yes, so yes.
You can get them at the Welcome Center, which is right next to City Hall. The TDC does have those. There's all of them. Will be provided to.
And that's both Leave No Trace and the flag system?
Pardon?
Is that both Leave No Trace and the flag system?
Yes.
Which, if you are a condo owner, you're required. If you're a renter, you're required to have that posted in your condo.
Well, I've got like in a notebook.
Right.
I printed it off the website,
But it sounds like they do have it.
It it is the condominium, the homeowner, the renter's responsibility to have those on the back of all doors, and it's their responsibility to have it on all the beach accesses. The beach accesses, the city beach accesses, do have a flag warning system, do have leave no trace, and do have a couple other rules that are there. Some of those signs are mandated by the DEP and Fish and Wildlife on their layout and regulations, so you'll see one that's this big, one that's this big, and they all look very awkward. We don't control that. We have a mandate for each one of those systems, and that's how they are. Doesn't mean that we can't go in and do a different one, but at this point in time, there are typically signs that show the entire flag warning system on every single beach access. There should be a sign on every single door and every single rental unit that shows the flag warning system. And each condominium and/or house that is renting should have both the flag warning system and the leave no trace on their doors or on their beach access.
But you know, when you apply as a new owner to pay the taxes and all that stuff, they don't tell you that.
Why don't they send it to
Or
you?
don't provide that information for you to post, so.
I remember,
But it's
somehow
not
we got
ordinance.
notified of that. I can't remember how, when we first started, we would get notified on that, but, I mean, those are things that we can look at as a city to be able to get out a reminder to, as we send stuff out, to once again refresh. It doesn't hurt to refresh people on that. After 4 or 5 years, people forget.
Excuse me, did you mean every exit door or every door, like closet door?
No. The main door.
The front
main
door.
going in and out.
I understand every single door, what you
No.
mentioned.
Yeah.
And unit door, not
Entry door.
interior door.
Yeah, the entry exit door. Yes.
And where is it that you can get those decals that you're talking
The
about?
visitor center at 79 and Back Beach Road.
You know, we've purchased 4 units in the last year, none of them have it on it.
That's what I'm saying. Just because it's a regulation doesn't mean everybody, and that's why I think we can do a better job as a reminder to let people know this is something that's required. You know, and that's where I'm saying I think as owners and if you rent your properties, it's a good idea to maybe incorporate, come up with a nice sign that tells them everything about rules and regulations. If you're putting up put the leave no trace and the flag warning, but at the same time, put the no bottles on the beach, you know, the litter, those kind of things, to where people see that these are all the things that people are paying attention to. So, and that's what I'm saying, I think if we all do a better job of communicating that we're trying to clean up the beach, it goes a long way.
I think uniformity would be a good thing, as far as the beach access, if all the signs are exactly the same. that would, you know,
Hector, I have a problem, not a problem, but, you know, who in this room or in this world believes that it's okay to litter on the beach, and why do you need to put it on a sign? I mean, having signs just, you know, for something like litter, I mean, I can't believe anyone would stand up and say, you know, it's okay to litter. They litter, but they're not going to, they know it's not right.
But I think the more we can send that image, that, and like I said, that's why I look at that carrot and stick approach of some cute signage that shows, it at least ingrains in your mind. And maybe when you're sitting there and you saw that sign that had the 2 little kids with the butts in the beach and you're about to say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't. If it just changes a few people's mind on what they're doing because the sign's there, then the other part of that is enforcement. We've got to get out and we've got to enforce. And when you see, I have no problem when I see somebody walking across that boardwalk with the bottle of beer to say, you know that glass bottles are illegal on the beach. You're not supposed to have them. It can lead, it's a $75 fine to incarceration over a glass bottle on the beach. I've got no problem telling people that. You know, and most of them say, oh, thanks, I didn't know that.
Who tickets them?
Huh?
Who tickets them?
But it would be
the city?
Yeah, and that's why, so if you see somebody, if you know, I mean, I did it one spring break. We walked every spring break on the beach, and we're walking down, and it's middle of March, and these guys, there's 10, 15 guys out there. They had built a sandcastle, but all it was beer bottles stuck all in the sandcastle. And there must have been 30, 40 bottles. I had my bag, and I went up and I started taking bottles out of their sandcastle and taking them. And right away the guy said, whoa, what are you doing messing with our... I said, I can take the bottles, or I can go ahead and call the police because it's against the law to have glass on the bottles. Which would you like? Oh, okay. You know, sometimes it's just a matter of letting people know this is wrong.
Well, I think, you know, this deal about signs, you know, ideal world, you don't need it, everyone, but I think PCB in this area has had a history of letting things go and letting it so now you have to put the message out there that, okay, it's changed, we're trying to change it. 20 years ago, or whatever, how many years we allowed this, it's okay, or whatever, but now you're saying to them, we're going to change things.
And I think that's exactly what it is. We're trying to get a new mentality and a new progression of people, educating people little by little. We're on a new path. We're on a new path.
Crosswalk has a 2-foot yellow sign, and some of them are flashing, and taking your life in your own hands crossing most of the time.
You're right. I mean,
Another sign's gonna help.
Yeah. It's, until like I said, until somebody sees somebody pulled over, you know, and little by little. Yes.
Well, the only no littering signs I have seen are on Beach Drive on the east end. There, not even on Thomas, on any of the main roads in this town, are there signs that say there is a fine for littering.
Well, the public access signs.
The only signs I've seen are on Beach Drive.
Yeah, some of the public access signs talk about littering and that, but once again, we're not uniform. We don't, and that's what we're talking about. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to, you know, maybe the TDC will be able to help with this. We've discussed it a little bit. It'd be nice to come up with a general signage that addresses litter, flag warning system, leave no trace, in a nice, colorful way that people feel welcome that they're here, but also realize they've got some responsibilities. We love the visitors that come here and enjoy themselves. We want them to make memories. We just want them to respect the beach when they're here, you know? And that goes for residents as well as visitors, because like I said, we've got a lot of residents that don't respect the beach and put those cigarettes right in the sand. Yes?
I think you're also dealing with two different issues. I think the guy that would never leave a bottle or a can on the beach because he feels it's littering, wouldn't mind sitting there smoking all day and putting his cigarette butts in the sand because he doesn't feel it's littering. After the bike rally left, I take my dog over to Aaron Bessett Park every afternoon. And after the bike rally left at Aaron Bessett Park, I'm not going to say there wasn't some litter around, but there wasn't much. The garbage cans were all full, there wasn't much. But in front of the stage, for that 100 yards out there, was white with cigarette butts. It was absolutely white with cigarette butts. Those guys didn't think that was littering. Those guys, and they're good people. You know, the guys that come here are fine folks, and they wouldn't dare throw beer cans at the stage or anything like that. But in front of the stage, there was no grass. It was white. So
it's a mentality. It is a mentality that some smokers have sometimes. They see sand, they think it's like the litter box thing, and I don't know. Like I said, I think that's just something we've got to train people. Like I said, I know there's a property that banned smoking from their property because their reviews were so bad, and it was a child-oriented property, and they were tired of seeing their reviews about when their kids were digging and pulling up some cigarette butts. They finally went to no smoking on the property because that's the way they had to correct it. So it's not going to be easy, folks. This isn't easy. That bag, you know, that just doesn't go away overnight. It's little by little just ingrained in people's minds, and people realizing, hey, we want you to come have a great time, smoke, but hey, you know, there's a deal. And maybe at some properties it makes more sense to put some of those smoking deals every 5 chairs, or have chairs that are designated over here, and people have the deals, and they think if they thought enough to put that deal out there for me to put it in, maybe I'll use it. You just never know. Because I've seen the people out there with their cans, they're smoking, and every one of their cigarettes they have, they put in a can. It's just ingrained in their mind. It's trying to get it ingrained in the rest of the people's minds. Anything else as far as advertising? Yes, sir.
Hello. I'd just like to thank you for having this open forum. It's a lot better than that meetings where y'all can't reply back immediately. Heard that, Mayor? I mean that friendly. I still like this forum that where we can have an open dialogue instead of just saying our thing and then at the end of the meeting you may or may not reply. So I really do like this forum. I like that. Thank you.
This is not a meeting.
I know. That's why I say I like this open forum. So thank you very much. But first off, that hotel party where everybody, where was that? Are they still there tonight? That sounds like a party now. I'm just kidding. I just want to caution everybody, yes, we do need a clean beach. Of course, everybody absolutely wants that. We already have the laws on the books. I'm just afraid of more laws being put on, whether right or wrong or not, that we might be seen outside of this community as like, I don't want to go there. I don't know what I'm going to get arrested for this week or next week or whatever. And I'll give you a perfect example. There is nobody that travels more than me. I work a week on, week off. I fly all over this country. And I ran into some people overnight in Birmingham. I ran into a friend of mine who's a manager at a small airport outside of Birmingham. And they said they were going down this week, or a couple weeks ago, to Key West, all on their motorbikes. I'm like, why aren't y'all coming down to Bike Week? Well, we want to have a drink on the beach. I said, that is only March, guys. That is not all year round. So that's not what we heard. I'm like, I live there, trust me. So my whole point is just, we got to be careful on if we bring up any new rules to, you know, make sure that they're clear and try not to have any more new rules. Just enforce what we have. It's already illegal to litter. Let's put more garbage cans out there. Let's talk to the sheriff. Why can't the sheriff get some of the prisoners? I see their, like a better word, chain gang guys, whatever. Why can't they go on the beach and do that? I think the jail has plenty of people in there from all the rest reports I see, so I don't see why we can't get that. That's free labor. Get the Boy Scouts, that's good promotion for them. Get small groups, let's promote that. Let's just please not have any more rules and where it confuses tourists that come here. That's all I ask for. And other than that, thank y'all very much.
And I think that's part of the discussion we're having here. Like I said, I don't think we need any more rules. I think we've got plenty of rules that are in place. We do have to learn how to deal with them. And that's why, if you look at the agenda, it's more about how can we do some of this stuff to do it better? How can we inform the general public about the rules better? And then how can we enforce the rules that we have better? Because, yeah, we don't need another rule about how we're going to control litter.
We also only have free access to the beach. We've got Back Beach Road coming across the county line, 79, and the bridge. Why can't maybe the city in the future look at maybe purchasing a digital billboard that where at any time the council, the mayor, anybody can put up a message, hey, you know, don't drink this week on the beach, whatever the rules. If you litter, you're going to be fined this much and this much. There's only 3 access points where tourists can come to this beach.
I think, like I said, at those access points, instead of even going into the rules, I think we just got the nice big sign that says, welcome to the most beautiful beaches, leave only footprints. I think that's how we will, at some point, get it ingrained in people's minds that we've got the most beautiful beaches, and by constantly them hearing leave only footprints, maybe it starts to rub in that we're trying to keep the beaches clean. Yes.
To get back to some of his points. One, I don't think we're trying to emphasize new laws, because we already got them. We've got no litter, we've got don't dig the hole. We have all the laws. I think what we're trying to do is come up with ways to pass it on from our community to our visitors so they understand and touch them. Second of all, I was just out in New Mexico, and one of the things they were talking about in New Mexico, it was like, hey, I see you guys cleaned up Panama City Beach. And I said, yeah, they incorporated a few things. And they said, man, we would never come there. Now they're looking to come back. And so I explained what the city, Mr. Thomas, and all of them have done to stop spring break. But people are looking for that cleaner beach, friendly atmosphere. And I think we're starting to do it. Because when people in New Mexico is talking about it, you know we're doing some right things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's still going to be some misconceptions out there about somebody that might think that the alcohol went away for the whole year, and then other people have done a good job of, you know, any of my clients have called, it was cleared up right away, when you can, when you can't. I made sure that I informed those people it's just 1 month. So we can definitely, you know, make sure we get that word out in that, because we don't want people to, if that's going to be their #1 factor, hopefully it's not. But I think we can do a good job with that to make sure people know what it is. Like I said, the more we talk about it, the more when you're out of town, you let people know. That's free publicity that we're giving as we're out there. So we spread the word, keep spreading the word. Under the Leave No Trace, city property owners' responsibilities. The Leave No Trace was a good ordinance that was passed. Honestly, I've seen it drop off in the last, we've gone away from what we were doing on Leave No Trace, and as the city, I think we need to do a better job now to reinforce and reinitiate what we have with Leave No Trace, what was there on the books. I've personally seen canopies stay out for a full week on the beach and nothing done, nothing tagged, nothing changed with that and I finally went to the people to say, hey, you've had your canopy out here a week. They were here for a couple of weeks. You can't leave it out there, you know, because my next call was going to be to the city to say, we need to pick that up. It's been a week. And but when we put city and property owners' responsibilities, once again, if you're at a place that owns property on the beach and you have things that are left at the toe of the dune that's on your property, it's your responsibility to kind of figure out what you need to do with that. If you've got general trash or skeletons left then you need to work on that also. So once again, that's one of those things where we both have to work on. Yes.
So are you saying that if you own or if you're in a condo, and the condo has property up to 30 foot of the water or higher, that you can leave your tent there overnight inside that area?
No, what we're saying under Leave No Trace, it's supposed to come down, and what we're doing is we're saying we're asking the condo associations to be looking at that and seeing if, or say people left skeletons at the toe of the dune. It's been there for 3 weeks at the toe of the dune right there. It's time for that thing to get thrown away and chunked, and it's not necessarily the city that's going to pick that up because it's on private property.
So it doesn't matter if it's on the HOA area or not?
No, as far as the enforcement, it should, but once again, we have laxed our rules on that Leave No Trace. And we've got to, I just had a discussion today with Mr. Bennett, with Avery's on that particular issue, and they haven't been, there was a big concern about picking up the tents and everything. We've got to reinitiate that discussion on what we're going to be doing.
What you're saying is the association should enforce it themselves and not wait for
Yes,
the city.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Guys, I'll tell you what I think is 75% of the problem. Everybody wants the city to do everything. Guys, we don't have the personnel. I have 2 code enforcement people. I have 57 police officers. That's 3 shifts.
5 shifts. Oh, you just went through the shifts.
We have 3 shifts. We have 17 to 20 officers at the most out at one time. We have 9 miles of beach. We have 2 miles of depth. I don't have enough square footage per man to man that. We just don't have it, or women. We don't have it. It takes an entire village to raise a child. If you go behind a hotel, and I'm going to point out a hotel, that hotel is responsible from the time you walk off that road, in the parking lot, in the grounds, in the hotel, in the elevator, down to the beach access, down to the beach, down to the water's edge. You can walk to most of our hotels. You won't find the cigarette butt. You won't find the trash. You will find people that are being a little bit more respectful. There are rules and regulations. There are condominiums that can enforce a code of ethics. Have that code of ethics. It says no lewd and lascivious activities. It says no beer on the beach in excess. You don't have to say no alcohol, no beer in excess. No bottles on the beach. You can have all of those no's when they sign the paper day one. If we have to start enforcing each and every one of those, how many cigarette butts do you have there? How many citations would we have issued?
Oh, wow.
It's impossible.
And that's just a small.
It is an impossible act. I wholeheartedly agree. I'm grossed out by a cigarette butt to the point that I won't take one out. They gross me out.
You're looking at it wrong. It's $100 per butt.
I don't have enough officers. I don't have enough officers because you want the officers to keep you safe. And the cigarette butts that I see at every single street corner is absolutely disgusting to me. I don't see how people don't see that doing that, or when you see them fly out the car on the interstate and ash out as you drive by. It's the grossest thing in the world to me.
I was told the city we have a street sweeper. I've never seen it.
No, sir, there is no street sweeper. You know how much a street sweeper costs? It's over $700,000, and then it costs another $200,000 to keep it. I would rather have 6 more police officers than buy that one piece of equipment. We have a very frugal city. We operate off a 1% sales tax. We don't get all of our 1% sales tax. We get what we can. We operate a pretty lean, mean little machine. We do everything we can. We need everybody's help. And that goes to the single-family home that rents. That goes to the condominium. I can tell you, I live in a pretty modest little condominium. It's called the Fountain Blue. It's the oldest one out here. My groundskeeper walks out onto the beach and picks stuff up. My groundskeeper walks out to the street and picks stuff up. My groundskeeper walks in the elevator. We have signs that say, no smoking areas. They have a designated smoking area with an ashtray. It's up to us. Us as in the whole community. It can't be up to the 250 employees that we have on our payroll. We can't do it. We need everybody to help.
Have you ever thought, talking with the chief and doing an Explorer program with the police department, where they could monitor the beach or run back and so forth, or have an auxiliary of retirees or people to do it?
We have auxiliary, we have auxiliary, we have retirees, and we do have a modest beach patrol. But like I said, at the most, when we have everybody out on the beach patrol, it's 5 officers on 4-wheelers for 9 miles.
You could take those 5 officers off of that beach and put them on patrol if you would employ. I have never seen an Explorer here in this city, so I never thought that the police department had an Explorer program. And this is a great program, not only for the beach, but it would be a great program to vet new incoming officers into your department. And the city I come from has a great, they do a lot of help with traffic control. They help with all kinds of different programs. So that might be something the city.
We do have an auxiliary program.
Right,
and that auxiliary program is the first step into getting it into our police department. And they have to pass all the tests, and they have to go through all the credentials to become a police officer. And their badge, they have a gun and everything. They are a police officer.
See, I'm talking about non-sworn law enforcement type people. I'm talking about young adults who are looking for maybe a career in law enforcement. It gives them an entry to come in to maybe even to jump up into your auxiliary. They're very good, and for the size of this city, they would be, to me, would be exceptional to utilize.
It's like I said, there's a lot of programs that maybe we're not looking at or taking advantage of. Things that, like I said, that's what this is about, is coming up with ideas. I've always felt, and police put the word out, we could always use auxiliary police. Couldn't we, Chief? You know, good qualified auxiliary police to come in and assist. So, and especially if we're talking about retired law enforcement or people that are looking, that want to just volunteer a couple of days out of the week to do nothing but patrol the beach or anything like that. There's ways that we can deal with these programs to where we might be able to even get some assistance on some of it when it comes to enforcement of rules and regulations for visitors. So there's things we can do, and I'm hoping we're going to have increased presence. You know, once again, not to be a police state and tell people you can't do this or fine, but once again, public awareness. But like I said, I started this meeting by saying this is something we all have to get involved with, because it is. There's certain responsibilities on the private property. There's certain responsibilities in the city. The city will always be there when you need that backup, but we all need to do a better job in presence and let them know. In one of our condo associations, during the 4th of July week, there's a guy out there, and they're shooting off these fountains. They've got them on the wooden beach chairs, and the fire that's creating, you see the smoke coming out of the wood, ready to catch the wood on fire. I told one of our security patrol, I said, you know, as soon as that's over, you need to let them know not to do that again. And they said, oh, I can't come off the steps. Our job ends right here at the steps. And I said, well, no, our property goes out right to those beach chairs, so that is part of it. So it's an education of your security companies to say, guess what? Our property is this, and we need to enforce all the way out there. So it's those kind of things. I have a question back there.
I think that's a good point. I'm a new board member for a condominium. Last summer, I was asking about our security and our grounds people cleaning up trash that was out there on the beach left, and I was told that they do not have the authority to go out to the beach. It ends at the boardwalk. So
here's the question that you get back to them is, how do you have the authority to collect money for chair service, but you don't have the authority to clean that beach? That's the question you get back.
Yeah, so where can I find that?
It's in the deed of your property. It's in the deed of your property, and then we have chapter 7.
Here's an ordinance right here that says that every beachfront property is responsible all the way to the water's edge.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Is that city or county?
City.
And we're going to send that out to all, we had talked about that also, about getting that back out to all HOAs and camps, so that once again we realize who's got what responsibilities. And once again, it's not to say that the city's saying we can't do this. What we're saying is it takes everybody, and realize sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. you can't expect to want to run your beach out there and collect money from beach share services, but then say, well, but I don't want to do this part. You know what I mean? You've got to realize what your responsibilities are, and we all have to come together and try and do it the best way we can.
Well, this is chapter 7, does that?
Chapter 7 is what.
That's on the beach chair.
That's for the beach chair services and all the beach services. This is actually in chapter 12.
That's a
Chapter
specific ordinance.
-7. There's some up here on the table. But again, all this is available on our website, but.
Because I think what the problem is, a lot of times you do confront people about it, your HOA or whatever, or the security, and they tell you, oh no, and you don't know any better.
Misinformation, right.
Yeah, and so you're misdirected away from it, and.
Well, I learned this because I came in as a new city council member and went into the office and said, we need to do this, we need to, they said, well, wait a minute, we've got this right here, we've got this. And that's why I felt that this meeting was important also, is because a lot of it's education. And so the more of you that can go back to your HOAs and tell them, hey, here's where we can do this. These are our responsibilities also, but the city's there if we're having a problem to be able to call and get assistance in this.
Right.
You know, but the bottom line is, if you got those people that are bringing the beer bottles out and you're telling them you can't, and then they don't want to listen, then you call the police. If you've got that hole that's out there within your chairs in the beach and it's the size of a Volkswagen, you call the police and say, we've got a dangerous hole out here, it's so big. You know, we're not saying don't call, we're saying take a look at what we can all do to make it better. Get involved with our HOA boards, make it better, our associations. And then when there is a problem, don't think that nobody's going to respond or nobody cares. Make the call. If the call doesn't help, then you call your city council member, or you call your county commission and say, hey, we've got a problem with this. When you all were having problems at was it 11 and 12, did you all not call your county commissioner? And didn't they respond to it? I mean, it works. It works. I mean, I tracked that. I went down there myself. It works. If you have a problem sometimes, believe it or not, some people will respond to stuff. So, and if they don't, call another. I've never told anybody, if you're outside my district, don't call me. I get calls from the whole beach. I get calls from people in the county all the time. And I tell them, you're just as important as anybody at the beach because it's all our beach. And so if we can make it better, it's better for everyone.
What would be if the city and the county formed a citizens group where anybody who wanted to participate could come and every couple months have a meeting and maybe organize cleanups of the beach, say once a month do a cleanup and get out and have everybody go and just do like a voluntary basis citizens group.
And that's why and that's why I'm saying most of the time that you're going to find in these places that are doing a great job is because the community's got involved and you have people that care enough and spearhead efforts like that. It's a great idea. That's why Ron Johns does it once a year. I mean, how many people have gone out and volunteered for Ron Johns and pick up trash? When you see those, join in. Or if we had that, I'd love to be able to go there. Like I said, I try and police around my beach enough, but I have no problem going to somebody else's beach and helping clean. But at the same time, I do want our visitors and people that litter to also start knowing it's your responsibility too. We don't want to clean up all their stuff, but we can do a better job.
Well, the more people who see people out there doing it, it catches on.
Exactly. I think it then becomes a mindset.
Yeah,
it becomes a mindset.
It
It takes a pretty depraved person when you see people picking up trash and then you're just going to throw your stuff. That's a whole nother level of person if they do that, because I've actually, by me going out and picking up trash in front of our condo, I've seen little kids that go, oh, pick up a piece of trash. Or I've seen an adult get up and say either thank you or say, oh, it's like it's infectious sometimes. So yeah, the more people are picking up trash, I do think it's infectious, and people will do it. So any more comments on the leave no trace? Oh, yes.
I have a question about the leave no trace. You're telling us it's our responsibility as homeowners. We live in a residential neighborhood that's across from the beach. Who does actually pick up the skeletons? Because I've often seen just crumpled up old ruined beach chairs that have been put into the trash can, and the next day, and I've stopped the garbage pickup people and said, why did you take that out of the trash can and put it beside the trash can again? They said, oh, we don't pick those up. So what do we do with
Here's the problem that happens. We had a good leave no trace ordinance in place. We had a good leave no ordinance trace in place. We tried to tweak it a little bit to give the enforcement power that when something was left at the toe of the dune, for the city to be able to pick it up, and it caused an uproar. It caused an uproar by some private property owners saying, oh, wait a minute, you're gonna come pick up something on my toe of the dune, maybe I want that to be there. And that extension of the ordinance died. It died because of certain people that said, you shouldn't be messing with this or that. And so that's why some of this we're having to put back on private property owners to say, guess what, if you're in Bidawee and you've got stuff sitting at the toe of your dune, you may have to go ahead and get rid of that because, God forbid, we take it and then somebody says, it was supposed to be there, now you owe us for that skeleton. Because it's on private property.
I don't think we should allow things at the toe of the dunes.
That was what
we tried to address that.
Was to do away with that.
We tried to address that, and it backfired on us. We made it through 2 readings on that before it died. And all over, well, wait a minute, I've got some private stuff of mine that's considered at the toe of the dune, and it became an issue. So that's why it's everybody's issue that we've got to deal with. Now, if you need help, I still don't think that we're going to turn you away if you need help when it comes to that. Somebody's left some large items or something. I'm sure we can probably get it worked out somehow with trash trucks or, like I said, Adrius is very good at working with people and helping. And if, you know, I think if we identify certain things that need to be picked up and we've identified as that need trash, I think he's one of those people that's more than willing to do whatever he can to help and work with us. So I think we've got once again, this is all educational. That's why I thought it was important, is to try and people realize when we realize, well, I've got this or I've got that. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next section, which is the enforcement. And I'm going to ask the chief to come up and kind of just talk a little bit about maybe if there's things he thinks he can do to improve on it. I know it's going to be one of my, I've talked to Mara a couple of times as far as the concern I have, as far as some stepped up improvements that we can. I know we're getting 3 new officers, two new officers. And that's when Mario was saying, remember, we're a small city that gets an extremely huge population here at any given time for many, many months now, but we're operating as a 14,000 city with spikes up to 150,000 people here on the beach. And that 1%, once again, remember, we have no ad valorem tax in our city. If you don't know it, we are in the bottom 1% of taxes in the state here. We're the cheapest. There's only 2 cities that have a cheaper tax in the whole state of Florida that we have here. We have no ad valorem. We have no fire assessment. We're the only place that doesn't have a fire assessment with no ad valorem. That doesn't. If you go right outside the county, every property owner pays a fire assessment right outside on the other side of Joan Avenue and on the west side. You pay fire assessment. You know, we're the only place that doesn't have a trash service where there's any fees. Yet we have a trash truck and personnel that we spend $500,000 on a year with the $22 million budget, and we pick up trash in neighborhoods and we get no fees for it. I mean, there's a lot of things this city provides that I was amazed at. That that was one of the things when I did my due diligence. I couldn't believe how cheap the property tax was
Who pays
here.
for it?
I'm sorry?
Who pays for all that? The business tax.
The 1% pays 45% of it.
Pays 100% of police protection and 78% of fire.
No, it doesn't.
The 1% doesn't?
The 1% pays 45% of our budget.
But that takes care of it. 75%.
Oh, that depends where. I'm saying overall it takes 45% of our budget.
But that money is generated by the businesses here and paid by the businesses.
By businesses and by condos and yes.
By the visitor. That's where we get money from.
Right. So what's your point?
My point is that the city and the residents, the services are being paid for by the businesses that do business in this tourism destination resort that depends on hospitality for business.
And that's what I'm pointing out, is that we're very blessed. We're very blessed that we don't have an ad valorem. We're very blessed that we don't. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Let's be cautious and not push away the tourists that keep the thing.
But I'm not going to turn this into a spring break discussion for you. Okay. Well, but I know where this is going.
Nobody's talking spring break.
So we're going to go into enforcement next.
Can the city institute a sales tax? on cigarettes?
No. No, the state taxes that are put in place are all done through state or through referendums on the ballot. So the city has no right to be able to tax additionally to do any of that.
I'm gonna go to the enforcement part. Who brought up the rat cards? You brought the rat cards, the information cards. Those work great. I put them out during spring break, so they're
Where do you
good.
put them? We can't get them.
We hit them at they always at the office. I tell people we send out emails and stuff. You want to pick them up, but we hit the big resorts, the big condos, and the big motels. They drop them off to the spring break kids, and they're a great asset. We do use them.
Right, we could use a lot of those, because nothing, like I said, I think every condo in this beach should have them. They're really informative.
I geared those strictly for spring break. That's why you don't see them year round, but we do use them during the spring break, and that's something we can look at once we talk about other issues. Enforcement, I don't have the luxury, like the city manager says. We're geared to have 61 sworn officers. We're not fully staffed yet. I'm still 3 down. And at any given time, there's 45 of them that are assigned to patrol. I have 4 shifts. So basically, you got 45 guys that are working on the road. They're not there all at one time unless it's something major like spring break or a big event going on 4th of July. So I don't have 45 people out there at one time. With the gracious of our city council and the mayor, I'm moving away from our vehicles and going to SUVs where I can get the officers on the beach more often. Last year I put 5 on the beach, this year I'm putting 5 more, so they get 10 SUVs on the beach where they can work topside and go to our priority calls, and when they got downtime, they can go on the beach. The thing with being a law enforcement, I can't sit on the beach for 3 hours watching someone in the water throwing cans. It's not gonna happen. So the odds of us catching someone littering are slim to none, so when they see us, they're not gonna litter, they're not gonna put their butts in the sand, but we're doing our best. With city council, a year ago, I addressed it that our enforcement used to be, if you had a glass bottle on the beach or your dog on the beach, you went straight to jail. I thought that was too harsh. We can still do that if they don't get the message, but now we do a civil citation. If you have glass on the beach, we'll write you a citation for $50. Second offense is $100. It goes in the database, so we know if you've done it multiple twice. Third time's $200, you can go straight to jail. But if we go down there and someone with an attitude he's not gonna do it, we can put him in jail right off that. So we do that stuff. There is enforcement, but we can't be everywhere at once. We got 9 square miles or 9 miles of beach that we encounter. You divide that by you're lucky if you got 10 or 12 officers under at one given time. And we got 3 miles wide of city limits from the beach to some of our deeper parts of the city limits. So we're scattered. We do our best with enforcement on the beach, and we're going to continue that. Any questions for me? I'm just trying to get into the enforcement part. We do enforce the civil infractions. We do arrest people for it, but some of those we moved to, instead of arrestable offense, we moved them a class 2 violation, so we give them civil fines. And with the civil fines, they can go straight to city hall and pay that's half off the price. Any questions for me on enforcement? I don't want to take a lot of time.
No, one of the things, I'm not big on the fines either, because a lot of times it can be, I don't know. One of the things, the problems I see, it was great to hear what he said about to the water. I thought there was a no man's land in the 30 feet. And see, that's one of the problems. We put out so much here, but nobody ever gets it. And, but get back to your enforcement issue. I do think that there are things can be done, like in front of the rock. There was a guy, dug a hole up, and I'm not kidding, you could put a bus in it, he put a tent on top of it, everybody, there's several people here saw it. That thing stayed there a week and a half, and he had a little kid down playing in it. And so we were worried that the wall was going to collapse on the kid.
Call us on that when you see stuff like that, because Carol's here, she's in charge of my beach and surf. She's not a sworn officer, but she's down there every single day with her staff. And they do pass these on. You can't dig holes, you can't litter, you can't put your butts in the sand. So she's constantly down there educating people. She can't put people in jail, but she'll educate them the whole time she's down there. So we do have a presence.
Is there a way we can give our beach chair service people, if they see something, to take one of those little tabs that you have, walk over to the people and say, hey, guys, and I'm not talking about just digging little holes for little kids.
You as an HOA can do that, or whoever owns that property, they can do that. If you rent those services, they're generating money for you.
Okay,
you can tell them that
where
there's
this is setting is at the rock.
I know what you're talking about, just west of Highway 79.
Yeah, this is at the rock, and in front of it, that's kind of like a no man's land. There's nobody there to.
That's where the call comes in, though, the call to law enforcement. That's where, since it's not somebody's property, that's where definitely that call, make that call. If you don't get a response to that call somebody on the city council.
I'll give you my phone number. I'll give you my phone number to everybody. If you want to write it down, it's 258-4861. Call me. If you call the station and they don't come out, and it's been 12, 30 minutes, call me. I'll make sure something happens or I'll go myself. I don't mind getting called 24 hours a day. Yes, ma'am.
manpower, I understand that fully. But when you say a citation, that takes, you have to send somebody out there for the citation, and then the second citation, aren't you still taking a lot of manpower to do that? How does that
Well,
work?
we try to educate first, but the education will work. We do silence. We do need civil fines. But if you can't get something solved, call us. And if they're in the city limits, I mean, I work very well with Sheriff Tommy Ford. I can call him. If you're not getting what you need in the city, call me. That's what I'm here for. My door is always open, and I'll give you my phone number. Like I said, call me anytime. I don't mind taking phone calls.
I think a lot of people realize, like, if you write a speeding ticket, I'm doing 120 on the back page, and you write me a ticket of $200, y'all will get like, y'all being city will get like $10 for that, is that correct?
Try $4.
$4?
And we only can use it for education. The city can't use it for anything. It's strictly for education for law enforcement.
And regular fines.
The state gets the money, then the county gets the money, then we get money for education. So $4 to $6 per ticket.
Yeah, so a lot of people have a misconception that by writing a lot of tickets, the city's gonna make money, and it's not true.
That's against law to protect you guys.
That's true for littering tickets also, basic, roughly?
The court gets their fees. Now, the civil fund citations, if you go to the courthouse, then you pay the $100, the court gets their fee. But if someone comes in and pays the discount of $50, the city gets to keep that.
Right.
Law enforcement cannot make money. It's against the law.
Right.
We go to the city.
That's what I think a lot of people think. It's fine, we'll make our money that way, that's not.
I don't want to keep this in.
Well, yeah, my other pet peeve is crosswalks, and I've never seen anyone given a ticket for not yielding crosswalks.
We do that, and Lieutenant Dan McDonald just picked up 6 more crosswalk signs for us, the flashing yellow ones that we're gonna try to install. And with the help of the CRE project with another group, as they do the CRE, you'll see more crossings. And it all depends what the crossing is. If you see the double lines with an arrow point down, you have to stop with a vehicle, but if someone's in a crosswalk, you have to stop, but if they're standing on the side of the road, and they don't have the double lines in their arrow, you don't have to.
I see is inconsistency on the signage, inconsistency in the placement.
There's 3 different types of roads.
And then just, the thing I don't understand is golf cart crossing, which are legal vehicles anyway, which you're saying they can cross the street. I don't understand that at all, but, you know, the thing that, I was getting at, the other thing was like, I try to pay attention to it, and it's very difficult, given the speed limit, to really yield that quickly if someone steps out. But I noticed like in one, was in the county, by the county park, there's a bus stop. So are they standing by, waiting there for the bus stop, or are they trying to cross the street? I don't know. And I've had one lady stand out talking on the phone, you know, like.
I'll have Lieutenant McDonald look at the one at the county, because he goes to the meeting every month that we address our public safety. I'm probably throwing that. Yes, sir.
Chief Whitman, I have an add-on to what he just said, crosswalk. My wife and I walk almost every day for miles. And the concern I've got, and I don't know that you can address this, but at like Pier Park, whether it be north or on the south end, there's all kinds of crosswalks, there's all kinds of stop signs. My wife and I walk into the crosswalk, the stop sign is there, and the car still goes on through. On public property, can you find or address that, or is that just no man's land?
No, that's not all private property over this Pier Park, so we can address
I
that.
think he's talking about like at a Target, or in the parking lot, there's.
We can still enforce laws on that.
Okay.
But I want to keep it towards what the beach stuff. You can call me on the other questions, because I know other people got things they need to do with this afternoon. Yes, ma'am.
What is the fine? Because I do find that when people have dogs on the beach, I approach them and say, I'm sure you don't realize it, but there is a fine, it's against the law. And they go, oh, no, it's not. Yes, it is, and there is a fine.
First offense is $50, second offense is $100, third offense.
Okay, so that's for any.
Or they go straight to jail if they refuse to take their animal off leash. But that's for anybody. Unless they own the property, that's a different story. I was gonna say, if they own the property, they can have their dog out.
No, this is not.
Lieutenant Colonel, yes, sir.
I had some calls with the sheriffs recently. I learned something, I think they could share. Number one, the police department is responsible for coding, enforcing the code on the beach, not code enforcement, number 1 point. Number 2, you have a separate phone number for other than emergency calls. Yeah, I think it'd be good to publicize that number.
Yeah, our second one is the 233-5000.
Right.
911 is
You
the
get a call on the
emergency.
beach, somebody's not picking up something, or whatever's going on, don't call his emergency number, call the other one.
They call 233-5000. And if you don't like results, you have my cell phone number. Call me, please.
And you did a good job for everything I got you to do.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for me before I turn it back over to the councilman? Thank you, school.
No, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm gonna let the city manager make any comments he might have, and then I'm gonna open it up to the council members and the mayor that are here, and the TDC if they'd like to say anything in particular.
First off, thank you for all being here. But one of the big things that we can all hit on, and someone mentioned it here, these little homegrown coalitions, that's what makes a difference. That group that put that together over there in East Central Florida doesn't mean that it can't be here. We can have that here. We don't have to form it for you. You guys can always come over to City Hall. You guys can always use City Hall for any meeting that you'd like. We keep it open. We keep it open extended hours, sometimes to the detriment of go. You have condominium facilities. Have these meetings. Put these groups together. Have a beach cleaning crew. I can tell you that a lot of your local nonprofits do the beach cleanup. And it does make the people feel a little ashamed when you walk by with a 60-quart black bag and you got to walk back to get another one. Those are the type things that make a difference. That kid that sees Hector pick up thinks, maybe I shouldn't have done that. When I'm driving behind a car and I see a handful of stuff like this and that just go out the window, and I pull up next to it and I confront the father from Tennessee and said, you guys just threw an entire handful of garbage out the window. Well, that wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. And I look at the little kid that's actually in a car seat that was the one that threw it out. That kid learned it from his dad or his mom. It takes a parent or a grandparent, but we've got to educate our people around us and shame them into doing it. But again, we need everybody's help to do this. We will do everything we can. I think some great ideas did come out of this. I did write down some of the ideas on the rat card and things like that. I'd like to see if we can shape it where it doesn't say no, 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 no. Maybe it just says no once, and then it has a list of things. Again, we'd like to make it be more of a positive spin and see if we can get it out. But again, we do have a ton of rules. We do have a ton of things that we have thought about. And like you said, information that we know but the general public doesn't know doesn't always help. You know, the fact that we're supposed to keep our beaches clean from property line to property line to property line, that's common sense. You said it yourself. Do you have to tell somebody not to litter? I hate to say it, but I think yes. You know, when you drive through Texas and it has a huge obnoxious sign, and I find signs to be visual litter, that says $500, up to $500 for throwing something out the window. I would have never thought to throw something out the window. But sometimes that's what it takes. I wish it wouldn't take that because, again, I find the sign itself offensive. But I think some good ideas have come from this, and I think we can probably help put together some rat cards and get those out for people. Like the TDC mentioned, there are rat cards, there are flyers, there are decals, there are actual full-blown signs for the Leave No Trace and the flag warning system. And I do know that the TDC is actually looking into doing one common sign that shows the Leave No Trace, that shows and actually we also have no dogs on the beach, no animals on the beach, and the no glass on the beach, and the Leave No Trace. I think that they're actually hiring someone with some graphic skills to actually put a single sign together so it does look better. So there are some things that are in play. We just haven't sent them out. But I think the rat card is probably a good idea that could be available. But again, we have to disseminate it because if they do the card and then it just sits, the people that are walking in and checking in aren't picking these things up and looking at them because they don't particularly care about that. They want to know about the dolphin, the fishing tour, and so on and so on. So it's word of mouth, and you guys are the best tool for word of mouth. Let's educate our own public.
Mario, did you say that the TDC has these signs to give out? Because I paid for all of ours.
Okay, I know that the TDC has some signs. I know that the Leave No Trace, they developed signs for a while. I don't know if they still
Okay.
have any. And then I know that the flag warning system is available.
Because I
Dan
just
Rowe
told
will speak for
me-
himself.
Okay.
I get clapped before I start talking. That's the first that has ever happened. I'm Dan Rowe. I run the TDC. Tracy Rudhall, who's our Director of Partner Engagement, is also here. And not to cut Mario off, but you're starting to get into my realm of the world, and I'll just give you a quick update. So I thank you for all the comments I've heard, and I think when I'll go through kind of what we're doing and where we are. I think a lot of your questions will be answered. We do provide rack cards and posters and decals to put on mirrors and refrigerators that talk about some of the rules that the city and the county have put into place over the years. The city is responsible for 9 miles of Panama City Beach. The TDC has responsibility over 18.5 miles. And Mayor Thomas, when he was talking, said something that was very important, that there's a coordination at the TDC between the city of Panama City Beach and Bay County. And so we're working very closely with both, and we span both. A lot of what we focus on, destination marketing is our #1 job. But we also are responsible for all the beach and nourishment activities. And we're getting ready right after the first of the year to put about $12 million of sand on Panama City Beach, in 4 very critically eroded areas, which is one of the things we do. We also are responsible for the contract for beach maintenance and beach grooming. It's a county contract. But the TDC is responsible for overseeing that contract and funding that contract. Currently, that contract is with Coastal Parasail. It is out for bid. We've had the current contract with Coastal Parasail for 5 years. That contract is on the street right now. Yesterday, we had a pre-bid meeting with interested parties that want to perform the services for the TDC on behalf of for the county on behalf of the TDC. And we had a lot of interest for that. Over the last several years, since the last time we did this contract, the TDC has taken a very aggressive role to make enhancements to what we do. The original contract called for the beach to be groomed 36 times a year, which is raking it from one end to the other. We've doubled that number. You'll see a lot more tractors grooming the sand. During the summertime, it's twice a week. We publish a schedule of when the groomings will happen so that the HOAs and the beach service companies and everybody know when the rakes will be in that area. And if you move your chairs off the sand, we'll rake. Yes, sir.
Is there a specification that the rake has to pick up cigarette butts and straws?
The rakes are, it's a Barber surf rake is the standard, which will pick up that material. And, we do rake the beach. One of the things we've added to the specifications for the upcoming year is that they will have GPS, enabled devices so we know where the tractors are going back and forth, and that the grooming equipment is maintained or is engaged. We also pick up trash twice a day during the tourist season, late in the mornings and in the afternoons. One of the things that you will find is we are limited as to when we can have people on the sand, because the conflict of heavy equipment and tourists, visitors, we will always err on the side of the visitor. We also have issues that we cannot operate during marine sea turtle nesting season unless we have sea turtle monitors with us, which is involved in the Leave No Trace enforcement. So there's a lot of activity and coordination that we do to help keep the beach clean. Yes, sir.
I've seen the Barber rake out there a few times this year, and they never have the conveyor belt going. They're just raking. Instead of picking stuff up, it's just kind of blending it into the sand.
And one of the issues I just talked about of having that GPS enabled devices is because there's a big difference between the guy who's actually running the rake and the guy who's overseeing the running of the rake, and the guy who has the contract with the rake, and my office. And that GPS coordinate will help us, close that loop so that the person who's, out there and it doesn't feel like engaging the rake today, the people upstream will know that that is happening. I mean, that oversight is an important aspect to ensure it's been getting done well.
Yeah, and I spoke to the contractor today in regard to that, because I had several reports that the rake had not been engaged, the conveyor. He told me that they should have that, so once again, as a public, if you see that that conveyor is not engaged, give me a call.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to do a favor. Don't call him.
Don't call him.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you see it engaged, don't see it engaged, call my office. Now, if it's an enforcement issue, you can call him. But if it is related to, the trash and the grooming of the beach, that's something you should call the TDC for. If it's related to the enforcement of laws, that's what you should call, beach police for, or the city for. Yeah.
TDC, like I said, I thought we had a street sweeper in the city. Somebody told me it was wrong. Is that something TDC is responsible for possibly doing? There's a lot of these red lights right across from Walgreens and Rickman's League tonight, where those red lights are real long. You can find a whole field of cotton and paper right there from cigarettes. I mean,
the Tourist Development Council, the TDC's responsibility is on the white sand beach, the unconsolidated sand that's on the beach.
There is this, when the street sweeper comes through, it's either the state or the county, because the street sweeper does come down 79. I was behind it 3 weeks ago. There was 2 of them. And so they do come down the main corridor, but it's not the city, it's not the TDC. I'm assuming it's the state or the county, one of the two. The state? Okay.
One of the other things that we have done is we have instituted a post-disposal recycling program. So after the beach trash is picked up, it's taken to a location where they sort out the aluminum cans and other recyclables, to help reduce it out of the steel field landfill, reduce it out of the incinerator. I mean, we collect over 1,500,000 pounds of trash off the sand every year, between what we groom and what we pick up from the trash cans. The TDC is also, as it's been mentioned earlier, is adding the round gray trash corrals, to enhance the visual character of the beach. We have 400 of them on the sand now. This year we're going to add an additional 200 of them, and we'll keep adding 200 a year until we get 1,000 of them out on the sand. We generally have about 1,000 of the blue trash cans on the beach every year. Hector earlier was talking about putting signage on those and putting graphics on the trash cans. We've tried that in the past, and it looks great for about a week, and then they start to look like hell. And so the TDC has made a very concerted effort to say, for these new trash corrals, we're not going to put any signage on it, just so they look good all the time. I wanted to, but my board said, Dan, we know that you would sell that to somebody. We don't want that on the beach. Just keep it straightforward. And to Mr. Solis's point about the
garage.
The garage, parking permits. There is absolutely commerce that's being done by that. And I think we need to do everything we can to encourage people to spend their dollars here. So I wouldn't say the TDC would ever take something that is currently being sold to the private sector and for us to come in and offset the cost, because that marketer, that advertiser, sees value in that. And I see value in telling everybody what we have to offer in Panama City Beach. Yes, ma'am.
I want to speak on behalf of the condo association, several of us out there. The way what you guys are doing right now, the way you're thinking about it with the card stock, in my opinion, is just a tad bit old school. Mario, you know this. All the associations now, as Liz said, we have 400 units, and 90% of those are rental units. Well, we have an on-site management company, which is Sterling Resorts. They're below 60 units on their in-house program. That's only 60 units that are people actually coming in and you're checking them in and you're handling car stuff. The old keys opening up the doors is just in the past. Everything's being done online. Owners are managing their own
get at the point of consumption, it's too late to notify them at that point. I mean, it's just either being proactive or being reactive, and you've got a database of everybody that pays sales tax and bed tax. And it's your property management companies, and it's your individual owners, so why not do a mass email kind of campaign digitally to let them know? And to give them the graphics and say, when you book your unit on VRBO or whatever, these are the rules, inform your guests of the rules, because that's ultimately who needs to give the information to the guests.
If you are not part of the TDC's database, if you rent your units and you're not part of our database, see Tracy, because she does that very thing. So we, well, but I mean, we do that, and we absolutely push it out digitally. We have a very aggressive social media platform. One of the other things I want to say is we also have great partnerships with local media, print, digital, radio. Lamar Outdoor Advertising, they will put up billboards complimentary to the TDC that talk about leave-only footprints, that talk about the flag warning system, that talk about leave no trace. We also have, with our radio partners, they'll continue to do public service announcements to remind visitors, to not litter. So we do have, we're hitting it from a variety of different means. Yes, sir.
So I used to own a little management company, and I agree with her. The vast majority of owners don't register on the TDC site. The only place you can get to those is at the city. They are registered to pay the city tax. So that's something I think the city needs to notify all the owners that are signed up for the bed tax. Let them know, send them the images. Everyone sends out welcome letters with their kind of, whether they're individuals on VRBO or whether they're on YS. So give them those images and say, you need to provide this information.
And I think that's a very good point. I will tell you that we have no ability, as in zero ability, because we are not subject, a party to the RISE agreement, to understand who the tax collectors of the tourist development tax are. Because that's held by the clerk of the court's office, but the city, Mel's office, has conversations between, the city and, the Bay County clerk of the court, to have that conversation and to be able to start reach those folks. But from the TDC, people have got to reach us before we can reach them.
Dan, maybe an answer, Dan, is when you all are coming up with advertising, if we can come up with, like what people said, a concise sheet of paper that deals with some of the most important rules with the flag system, leave no trace. Maybe if it's produced in a nice way by you all, we can get it to Mel to where when we put out a reminder to all condo owners, we can try and get that out with possibly an email address to where they can go and pull up the graphics. But it's going to have to come from the city. We're going to have to work on that to get that out from the city to all the renters. That's what I'm talking about. The more us that do rentals can get that out to our people in our last minute tips, and we put out last minute tips, hey guys, here's part of the last minute tips.
And that way they're not going to Walmart and purchasing it.
Exactly, it's before.
And then they're on the beach and it's like,
Oh, right, exactly.
Our website is for our partners is visit PanamaCityBeach.org, and there's information. There's all the information we have out there, and we're continuing to make it more robust. One of the things that Tracy is focused on are partner toolkits, to help people with information that's going. And so you will see more from us as we go forward, because this is important to us, and I do appreciate all the comments today, and thank you for putting this together. Thank you. But yeah.
We pay our TDC tax. It'd be great if you work like Airbnb, where it's just correct. You have to do it.
I will tell. That's a very good, very topical issue. Because Delta Airlines just signed a deal with Airbnb, so if you book your Airbnb through Delta, you can get your Sky Miles. But they're going to be here to stay. And I know that the clerk of the court and the county are talking to Airbnb to make sure that the Airbnb renters are paying the appropriate tourist development tax, so they're part of the solution. Because
they only do
state tax at this time. they're writing separate agreements for county taxes with certain counties, but in part of their agreement, they specifically tell the county that the county cannot check up with the renter, which is a big problem. They don't want any checks and balances on the collection. Plus, we're only one of 2 places that collects the 1%, so we're never going to be figured into that.
One of the issues, and this is a serious deal in my mind, that when the city of Panama City Beach and Bay County, Florida passed, the issues related to making sure that if you are renting your short-term unit on an overnight basis, you had a duty to post information on the flag warning system and on leave no trace. And if somebody is not doing that, I mean, they're obligated by law to do it. And ignorance of the law does not absolve you from the law. So if I was an Airbnb renter, I would make sure I was following the rules everybody else was, because if somebody who...
We're going to, now that we know, we'll do it.
Oh, so you guys rent through Airbnb?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and me as a condo manager, I have, someone that purchases a unit for the first time, they don't know any of the rules, I give them a new owner's packet. This is what you're supposed to do, this is how we expect you to pay, this is where you're supposed to park, here's where the trash is, et cetera, et cetera. But if someone joins to, signs up with the city or whatever, with the state for sales tax and bed tax, what are they getting on that side to say, look, you're supposed to put this in the room, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this, because that's just why none of the room has it in there, because they don't know. I mean, they don't know that they're supposed to ask for it. They should just be as a mandatory, when you sign up for bed tax, look, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what's supposed to be in the room. Is that being done or not?
I believe the clerk of the court's office is doing a lot of that, but I can't say that with 100% sure. I will follow up with the clerk's office. Thank you.
That's what I'm saying.
And Carol does a great job, by the way. There's nobody on the beach that is who's probably better at what she does. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just lastly, any of the council members that are here, anything you'd like to say? Or mayor closing?
Yeah, normally I go to bed at 10 o'clock, now that's just emergency. I'm up at 5.
That it? Just in closing, again, thank you all. Like I said, we didn't know what kind of participation we would get in this. It's great to see this many people are concerned about it. I want to thank the TDC, the council, the city manager, the department heads that showed support to do this. It was something different, just to kind of see what kind of feedback we would get. So we appreciate y'all coming out. And just a reminder, as you talk to people, once again on your literature and everything, welcome to the most beautiful beaches, leave only footprints. Just start embedding that in people's minds. Maybe the newspaper, news media, let people know, leave only footprints. Thank y'all.